I need to say something that most physios are thinking, but will very rarely say out loud. There's a lot of physios in the industry that are getting quietly resentful, not necessarily of the patients that they're working with or the job itself, but more of the system that they're forced to work in as in person physiotherapists. And the worst part of all this is that we feel guilty as physios for even thinking that and for wanting more from our professional life because we're supposed to be grateful, right? We get to help people day to day. We have what people would call a good job. So we should just be happy with that, right? But the fact is that if you're watching this video, then you're very likely exhausted. You're coming to the end of your capacity with the waking up early to beat the traffic before you get into clinic, for the long day of 10 to 12 patients, with the stack of notes then to write at the end of the day, for you to then go home in traffic, to get a couple of hours in front of the TV before you repeat the exact same thing for the next 4 days of the week. You get to your weekends and you're delighted because you have a couple of days where you can actually control your own time and energy, but then inevitably it comes to Sunday evening and the scares and the fear of the week ahead hit you. That is the cycle that the majority of in-person physios are in. And I'm just making this video for you guys. If this resonates any bit, I was in that exact same position 5 years ago, craving the weekends, afraid on Sunday of the busy week I have ahead, not much time or emotional energy for anything outside of work. And generally my life was dictated by the schedule in work. When people booked in, I had to work. That was the thing about it. But just know that if you do resonate with any of this, it is very much not a you problem. It is a physio industry problem, because I've spoken to literally hundreds of physios over the last 12 months, and this same scenario is echoing throughout all of these conversations. So just know that it's not a personal weakness problem. It's definitely not that you're ungrateful. So yeah, let's talk about it at a little bit more depth to see what we can do about it. So let's be specific about what we're actually talking about here, because it's not just, oh, work is hard. It really is deeper than that. It is waking up at 6 a.m. to beat the traffic so you can be in clinic or hospital by 7:30, already tired before your first patient walks in. It is standing, kneeling, demonstrating, doing hands-on work for 8, 9, 10 hours per day, and then feeling it in your own body by the end of the day. It's finishing with your last patient at 6 p.m., then getting home at 7 and still having a stack of notes to write, admin to catch up on, emails to send. It is your weekends being taken up with sports cover or with CPD courses, or simply just to recover and recharge before another week of patients. It's not exercising as much as you'd like. It's saying no to plans because you're just emotionally drained. And you know what? It is the mental load that nobody sees, that constant awareness, the responsibility, the emotional tax of showing up fully present for every single person you see when you've got little to nothing left in your tank. Now, here's what I want to be really clear about. This isn't weakness. This isn't you being dramatic or entitled or that you're not cut out for the job. This is simply the structure of the physiotherapy profession. You can love helping people, you can genuinely love the profession, but you can still resent the job, like how the job demands your time, your energy, and how it takes up your whole life in general. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. They can both be true at the same time. But here's where it gets tricky. Most physios won't talk about this, not with their colleagues, not with their friends. Sometimes they won't even admit it to themselves, because I guess there's a certain guilt that comes along with wanting more for your career, wanting more for your life in general. You think, I should be grateful. Like, I have a good job. I'm a physio. People respect what I do. I get to help people recover, which, is genuinely meaningful work. And it is absolutely meaningful work. That part is real. But somewhere along the way, you started feeling like you wanted more. You wanted more time, more energy, more financial security, that isn't tied strictly to the amount of hours that you can physically work. So yeah, wanting more potentially can make you feel selfish. Or you compare yourself to the older generation of physios who, just got on with it, who worked long hours, who didn't complain any bit. And then you think, okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not cut out for the profession. But for me, this is what I realized, that most physios aren't burnt out because they're weak. That's not the reason. It's because they're stuck. They feel boxed in, and they feel like they don't have power to change the course of their career direction or life in general. And they think that the only way out is to leave the profession entirely, or else just accept that, it is what it is. I guess this is just what a physio has to be. But what if it doesn't have to be that way? Okay, so here's the uncomfortable truth. And I say uncomfortable because once you see it, you can't unsee it. The traditional physio model, clinic based, one to one care, or else in a hospital, you're fundamentally trading your time for money, which means that your income, it has a ceiling, not because that you're, not a very skilled practitioner, not because you're not working hard enough, but simply because there's, obviously a certain amount of hours in any working day. So there's a limit to the amount of patients you can see. And as a result, there's a limit to what you can financially earn. So if you do want to earn more, then you have to do your best to work more hours, which means more fatigue and more stress and less time and energy for things outside of work. And then if you want, conversely, more time and energy for things outside of work, it means you have to work less, which means you have to earn less. So the system inherently punishes ambition with burnout, and no amount of love for the profession is going to fix that. You can be the best clinician in the world, you can care deeply about the patients you help, and you can change lives, you can see incredible results, but you'll still hit that exact same ceiling, because the problem's not with you. The problem is it's with the system, because the system only rewards output and volume, and it rewards that with exhaustion and burnout. So, what if there was another way? Not instead of your clinical work, not abandoning the clinical skill set that makes you a physio, but alongside it, or eventually potentially instead of it, if that's what you want. There is a way to use your physio skills that doesn't require you to be, physically in the room, hands on, for every hour of your working day. And if I'm to summarize what that is in a word, it is leverage, better leveraging the incredibly valuable physio skill set that you have. Instead of helping one person at a time, you can help many people. Instead of repeating the same advice over and over again in every single appointment, you can create a resource or a program that delivers that value once and helps hundreds of people. You educate, you can be a guide, you can help people move better, recover, avoid injury, understand their bodies better. You're still a physio, you're just stopping limiting yourself to the limited delivery model of solely in-person work. And I know what you might be thinking, that that sounds like you're a sellout. It sounds like you're not a real physio, that you didn't train for years to become some type of, online influencer. I do get it, because I thought the exact same things 5 years ago when I was starting out. But here is the reframe that I would give you. If you can genuinely help someone recover from pain, improve their movement, avoid surgery, return to sport, whatever the case may be, doesn't matter if they're in your clinic, or does it matter if they're following your instruction and programs from home. If the outcome is real, if the care is ethical, and if the impact is as real as any other impact, why does the delivery method make it inherently less valuable? Now, before this sounds like some magic solution that can't be true, let me just be really clear with you. Like, going online and starting from scratch, it is not easy. It requires you to bring a massive growth mindset, to be willing to learn new skills like marketing and content creation, and position yourself in a market and messaging. These are all skills that they don't teach you in physio school. There's tons of uncertainty and discomfort, that comes with opening yourself up to these new skills and putting yourself out there online. And there is a period of figuring it out, and it will feel clunky and awkward. It's absolutely not all plain sailing. It's not a quick, like, get quick rich scheme. It's not a form of passive income that completely runs itself while you sleep. If anything, building something online is going to be harder initially than just showing up day to day in clinic, because at this stage it's probably not that difficult for you. You're just in the routine of what you do every week. But here is the difference with starting something online. So clinic work, it will drain you linearly. So like every hour that you work is ultimately an hour off your life. Whereas online work, it compounds, and you can build something once, but it can work for you over and over again. So the effort doesn't go away. It's not like inherently easier to deliver something online, but the return on your efforts online can grow exponentially more than it can in person. And that is the real shift that I'm trying to communicate. So why bother? Why go through the discomfort, the learning curve, the whole uncertainty of starting online? Simply put, because the life on the other side is different. It is by no means perfect, it is by no means effortless, but I promise you it is different. You get to work without destroying your body physically and giving up all of your energy. You get to choose when and where you work, not based on a clinical schedule, but based on your own life and the type of lifestyle that you want to live. You can earn in a way that isn't capped by the amount of patients that you can see in a day. You have energy left for your family, for your relationships, for the things that you've been putting off because you've been too tired and too drained. And here is the part that, surprised me the most. You get to help more people than you ever could in clinic because your time isn't a limiting factor anymore. So the reward isn't just the potential of more income online, it's more alignment with the type of life that you want to live. It's building a career that fits around your life instead of a life that simply fits around your career. Look, if you're feeling this way, you're definitely not alone. A lot of physios are thinking the exact same thing. It's just they're not going to be saying it out loud. And funny enough, most of them will be thinking that it's just them thinking this way and that they're the only one who's tired and frustrated and they're the only one who's wondering if there's more to take from this career. But they're not alone. Like, you're not alone. Wanting more doesn't mean that you're broken, that you don't care. In my mind, it means that you're paying attention to what you actually want to get out of your life. And that is actually something that's incredible. So, if this resonated with you, if you're curious about what the path actually looks like for physios to start online, not the bullshit version, but like the real step-by-step path for how to actually get set up and how to start helping people and earning money online as a physio, I've put together a free training that breaks it all down. What it takes, what it looks like, what are the realistic steps. No fake promises, no bullshit, just clear logic step by step that you can implement. So you'll find the link for that in the description below this video. And also, if you're not ready to take that next step and watch that video, that's okay too. Just know that your feelings are valid and that there are other options out there. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.